Everyone, it's Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Group, and our guest today is Mr. Mark Bratton of Colliers International, Senior VP. And yeah, Mark has it tough. He's working out of Honolulu, Hawaii. But more importantly, Mark is the award winner of our CRE Elite Member of the Year. So we're really excited to have the opportunity to speak with Mark.
Hi, this is Rod Santomassimo, and welcome to The Massimo Show. The objective of The Massimo Show is to share how you can maximize your personal, professional margin. That's right. Let's make more money in less time. Let's turn chaos into clarity, confusion into confidence, and income into real wealth. Along with sharing my insight on how I grew a multi-million-dollar professional business, we're going to bring you the expert advice from a variety of authors, consultants, and thought leaders who will provide the tools you need to maximize your own personal and professional margin. Welcome to the Massimo Show.
Mark, welcome to the Massimo Show.
Good morning and good afternoon.
Hey, we're going to do a really quick reflection here. We always start with the beginning. Where you have achieved and where you are right now, your career is amazing, and folks want to get to this level, but everyone starts somewhere, and we always start in high school. So where was Mark Bratton in high school? Where were you living, and what was your passion?
So I was in Westlake Village, California, so Southern California. And some of my neighbors who I sailed with were architects. So in the 10th grade, started taking drafting classes. And then in the summers, I would work for the dad's architecture firm or whatever free time that I had. My first year at college, I was in architecture school. I thought I wanted to be an architect. And then I kind of looked at the business side of it and said, architects kind of make their money later in life. Maybe I want to go more into finance and development. So switched my major to real estate for the last 3 years of school.
Okay. And coincidentally, my late father was an architect who later figured out I can make more money if I'm a consultant. So on the real estate side, a lot like you. So where'd you go to school?
Went to San Diego State. I got accepted to USC and to San Diego State. At that time, if you can believe it, USC did not have a real estate program. So San Diego State had a degree, a well-rounded program from appraisal to finance and economics. So I went that route and worked out very well. As you said, those key steps in high school, I mentioned to you earlier, but at the same time, my father had gone from marketing to becoming a real estate developer and along the same kind of time frame.
So you're getting both education in school and education just within the family.
Yes. So summers in college, he was building on the big island of Hawaii. And so I would come over and be the, sweat labor, cleaning up after the construction crew, lifting heavy plywood onto ceilings while they nailed it on, and did the sweat for a couple summers at least.
Hey, Mark, I spent my summers working for my father's clients. I remember I was in Biscayne Boulevard in Miami, and we were paving the garage of a bank parking lot. And inside the bank sign said 110 degrees.
Oh.
So I'm sitting there in long sleeve shirts and pants going, I do not want to do this for a living. So I understand completely.
Maybe they had some ideas of how to direct us on where we ended up.
I think that's exactly true. So Mark, you're doing developments now. I mean, you're learning lessons from your dad. What was the big step for you? What was the initial step in the real estate side on your own? What was that?
So one interim step, I graduated college. As I mentioned, he was working on the big island of Hawaii. I said to myself, shall I stay in Los Angeles or go to Hawaii? As a 23-year-old man, I thought I better go try Hawaii. So I did that in a partnership with a friend of his selling residential real estate in the resort where he was developing. Within 2 years, one of his partners asked him to guarantee a $45 million loan, personal guarantee. And he's like, nope, I'm going to retire instead. And he left Kona. So I thought, time for me to continue on my path into commercial real estate and development where I really wanted to be, and probably in the big city of Honolulu. So made that move after 2 years.
Okay. So what was your first gig on your own in Honolulu? What was the first thing you broke out to?
So working for the company I still work for, it had a different name back then, but I got there and they said, we specialize in leasing, and that's where people make their bread and butter. Today, we need people doing retail shopping center leasing. See this nice lady, Judith, you're going to shadow her for 60 days, and then you're going to go out and do it on your own. So that's back in the early 80s. That was trainings.
So was the allure, is that what you do today? So you associate with the leasing side. So what's your focus today for our audience?
So today, capital markets investment team, we sell and consult and advise on all property types within the state of Hawaii, probably from 10 million and up. Yeah, I did the leasing for probably 15, 16 years. Started with her, and it was great because she was doing a couple of ground up shopping centers that we were showing and canvassing for tenants for at that time. Did that for 15 or 16 years, did every size and shape of deal, from Walmarts to Starbucks to Subways. And at one point I just said, I don't want to ever do another Subway lease deal unless I own the property. So how do I make a shift more into the investment side? And I had some initial coaching at that time that was looking at my book of business saying, hey, you're only doing one sale a year. What does it look like instead of doing, 60, 70 leases a year? You do 5, 10, 15 sales a year. And how do we build that business?
Absolutely. Awesome. And look, obviously from your education, your formal education, you had a background in appraisal and finance, and then in your informal education with your father, and then later on with your first mentor, you're getting educated in all aspects of real estate and how it works. But look, you were a great technician, but those that are the best in what they do and make the most, frankly, aren't necessarily technicians, right? They're technicians that can sell. And so are you a natural salesperson, or did that come to you through a lot of work as well?
I think it came through a lot of work early on. Somebody said to me, even doing the retail leasing, they're like, this is a numbers game. You got to talk to 10 people that will give you a 15-minute appointment. And, the whole thing of, we know a certain amount of people, but the amount of people we don't know is so much greater. Mm-hmm. So I've always been a good canvasser, a good person to person, generate my own business. So at the beginning of the sales funnel, and then, I honestly need help with a lot of the technical things. So that's why I have a fairly large team now. So I can focus my time on generating business and then solving problems and getting deals closed when they come up.
Okay. For those listening that are up and coming or you're getting that early stage, what was your first hire? What was that position you said, I'm going to get help? Here's my first team member. What'd they do?
I went through a couple of partnerships during the leasing times and very quickly learned that some people would pull their weight. And I had one very good partnership with a gentleman who we were 50-50 and were comfortable. His family changed and they moved off island. So I said, all right, time to build my own team. And the answer to your question would be just an administrative assistant. For me to come back at the end of the day and be typing up offers, was not a good use of my time.
Absolutely. So what's your team today? What's the breakdown?
So today, there's 5 of us, 2 of us selling actively and the rest are support. Then Colliers provides additional support beyond that. So 2 of us on the front line selling, making cold calls, canvassing, being out, pressing the flesh every day. 2 administrative assistants, financial analysts. And then at this point in time, we're also, like everybody, pulling in consultants or gig workers for, specialized type of work, whether it's delivering an offering memorandum or for, a specific campaign. I have a separate outside social marketing group. So 5 at the core, but probably closer to 10 when you look at Colliers has in-house counsel, accounting, CFO kind of stuff. So a big team so we can provide a level of service to big transactions, big portfolios, institutional type clients.
Yeah. And it's funny, Mark, when I wrote my second book, Teams Built to Dominate, I think it was 2016, I really wrote about the team that you need to dominate, like your formal 5, right? And that is the platform which you will build your wealth. But you're right, things have changed. And now it's not just the 4 or 5, but it's the outsource, it's the hybrid. We talk about hybrid officing, it's hybrid teaming in regards to what other functions can you use at a lower cost point. Do you outsource outside of the United States, or are you mostly in the United States?
We have not had much luck outside of the United States, to be honest with you. And so something for us to work on. Right now, we're looking to hire another person. And my first thought 30 days ago was, I want a second admin person sitting right outside my office 40 hours a week. And after thinking and talking for 10 days, I'm like, I'm not going to get someone very good for that. I need to change my thinking. So I need to be working like everybody else in this economy and be flexible and say, hey, let's gather when we can. Let's hire somebody who can, march to their own drum and then come back together every couple of days and say, yeah, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Mark. In fact, I am getting my new assistant on Monday. I'm recording this is Friday afternoon, and we've already laid out the time, hybrid time in the office, time out, and responsibilities. It's a new market. It's a different marketplace. And those who want to work with us, we have to meet their needs and their demands. That's just where we are. Hey everyone, it's Rod Santomassimo with the Massimo Show. And I hope you're enjoying this episode. But I also want to give you the opportunity to learn more. And how? Well, by checking out my latest book, Knowing Isn't Doing. When this book came out and launched, it became the #1 book in the country. That's right, the #1 sales book in the country on Amazon.com. And in that book, I outline the Massimo methodologies that will help you build the business and the life you've always desired. Check it out at knowingisn'tdoing.com or Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your favorite bookstore. So what was the big break? Everyone has a big break. They do. So what was your big break?
I think, at least mentally, if this is what you're looking for, is understanding that I was generating business every year and wasn't relying on other people to do that. So that did kind of free me up. I do have a good story, and I'll call it a big break. 20 years ago, I'm cold calling, and I called Colony Capital. I got through to a pretty high guy, and I'm like, I see you have this hotel on the beach in Waikiki. It's only 50 rooms, and it's really kind of small for what you guys usually purchase. And he goes, yeah, expletive. I bought it. He was out surfing there, and he ran into the chairman of the bank and just bought the note, and now I have to deal with it, and we built it. Can you sell it for me? And I'm like, like hush over the phone. And I go, oh, I know that guy, the top salesman is in the office next to me. He'll do it. He'll do it. And I said, yes, we can do it. He goes, great. Give me a plan, a marketing plan, and a listing agreement. I go to the guy and he goes, no, I won't work with you on it. And he was like a friend, and we'd done the deals. I forget if it was too small or he didn't want to do it. So I had to put together a team that impressed those people, and we got the job done. It was a 50-room hotel, but it was a W at that time. So it was kind of a fancy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that was probably a big milestone to understand that I could do different types, or as we like to say, food groups of properties, and bring in experts. I did bring in a guy from San Francisco to help with that and have a little bit of resume. So yeah, that was probably a breakthrough to build those different types of teams.
Is that person that you took the deal to regret not saying yes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's out of the business.
There you go. You don't have the foresight.
And out of the business.
A gift course comes to you and you say no.
I should know the numbers, but probably within 3 years, I was then the top producer in the company.
Right. You're the top producer. Okay. Well, that's awesome. But look, you're a top producer. How long have you been in the business?
So I started with this company in Honolulu doing the leasing in 1985.
It's fair to say, people can't see us, but you're probably my age. You're in your 50s. So why do you get coached? I mean, I know we work with you, and this is not a commercial, but people out there are saying, wait a minute, you're the top of your game. You're a top producer. You know what the hell you're doing. It's commercial real estate. Why would someone like you get coached? Help me understand that.
That's a good question. I think the simple answer is for the accountability. We all get lazy and get into our daily routines. But once in a while to have somebody saying like, hey, let's set a goal a little higher, and I'm going to come back in X number of days and measure it with you, for better, for worse. And then we're going to change our course a little bit. So I think we just get lazy and into a rut. So if I know I have a call next week with Lindsay, my coach from Massimo, I got to do stuff this weekend. Pipeline has to be updated. I got to present. Maybe I have some homework due in your case, but it keeps me accountable. And a lot of this stuff is stuff I've learned over the years, and appreciate our company has some education too. But I guess I was lucky. I learned that I couldn't do it on my own early on, and a little bit of accountability goes a long way and helps me get up in the morning and say, hey, let's start calling an hour earlier.
Okay. So Mark, there are folks out there listening to this, and they could be their first year in the business. They can be in their 40th year in the business. If you had any guidelines, there is no silver bullet. We know that, but we know the silver buckshot. So if you had any pellets of insight, what does it take to be successful to reach? Look, you're a top producer in a major firm. And like most markets, ultra competitive market. By the way, are you doing any industrial and multifamily? How much percentage of that is your
multifamily? Yes, because that's the biggest chunk of the market here when you look at all the sales. The industrial market is very tight and mainly controlled by owner users.
Right.
So we maybe do one warehouse a year. We've done a couple construction companies this year that bought, on SBA loans, but multifamily, retail, land development, hospitality, the hotels, all in our.
Okay. And my point of asking that question was, we got a lot of guys in the mainland that are making a killing on industrial because that's obviously the hot product right now, and multifamily as well. But that's not your core, yet you're still killing it. Any words of wisdom to those that may be listening on how do I even get to a point of dreaming that I can get to this level where you are today? Give me a word of wisdom.
So for the newbies, if you will, what I've told everyone that I've ever trained is work really hard for 2 years, days, nights, weekends, while you're young and you can afford it. You'll be able to take care of yourself for the rest of your life. You'll at least be comfortable. You'll be on your own. Beyond that, I think specializing is critical. When I started out, we had to specialize. Nobody gets to go across different food groups. When it comes to investment properties in our market, a typical year, there's only 250 sales from $1 million and up. So when you start slicing and dicing that, the biggest group, would probably be multifamily, and they might get to 35 or 45 in a year.
Right.
So it's pretty hard to just live off of shopping center sales in the state of Hawaii. But if you're in a little bigger market, being a multifamily expert, and some of your top guys are specializing, really helps. I'm basically specializing in properties $10 million and up.
Love it. Love it. You said yourself, if you work really hard and consistently and continue to grow and invest in yourself, you get to the point. But I know we talked before we start recording that you have a dilemma tonight. You have a huge issue, a life-changing, crushing issue.
Well, did I get to the part where I invited you to come?
No. It's a long flight for me. But so what's your big challenge tonight, Mark? What's the big challenge?
So this is January. I'm going sailing on my brand new boat today at 5:15. And it'll be 78 degrees. And I just don't know if there's going to be enough wind to sail, or we're just going to motor off of Waikiki and kind of enjoy the sunset.
It's those kind of challenges and obstacles you got to deal with when you commit to yourself to really, really make the most of the opportunity of being a commercial real estate professional, as Mark has.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. And I haven't hit this yet, but the reason I took on mentors and coaching is I wanted control of my life. And that's what I liked when, I heard your first pieces. It's not about the money. It's about attaining your goals and having a balanced life with your family and traveling and be able to do it all, if you will. And so by working hard and smart when the time is right, then you can achieve those goals. And this boat, as you know, has been a long time goal of mine. And Lindsay and I have been dreaming about it for a couple of years. I've been dreaming about it for more than that, but we found a way to make it happen.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you nothing but, I don't know if you need what mile per hour winds you need, but I wish you get the winds you need to make tonight.
I'll send you a picture.
Pictures. There's nothing worse than being off the coast of Hawaii at 70x degrees and the sun setting and not having wind. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, it's very comfortable. Don't you worry.
Okay, Mark, I can't thank you enough for your sharing and your insights and giving folks the information they need to know to how to move their sales forward. But like Mark said himself, look, if you want to build the business and life you always desired, you got to make the commitment. And the commitment, right, is what happens before you get the results. And now Mark is going to have some results, and we love to hear that. Mark, thank you so much for your time on the Massimo Show.
I appreciate it very much. And thanks for your help with your group. I look forward to the future. And my next big goal is how to retire my wife and myself.
There you go. The next big goal. A lot of great information, but as we always say, knowing isn't doing. Take the lessons you heard today, implement them in your own way, and then you'll see results. So until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with The Massimo Show.
I want to thank you for listening to this version of the Massimo Show. And please go out and share this with your friends, your colleagues. Heck, share it with your dog. Just share it. And more importantly, just give me some feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. We all grow from understanding what our audience wants to hear. So until next time, this is Rod Santomassimo with The Massimo Show.